dive into it, shall we? So this was a deck that actually put up a result at the Hoaglandia Open right after Jumpstart, but then kind of fell off the face of the earth because it's not good against people who are interacting with it, generally speaking. So the basic idea is that our deck is entirely creatureless other than Craterhoof Behemoth here. And this means that Transmogrify or Lukka's -2 on any of our many token creatures guarantee that these cards get a Craterhoof Behemoth out of our deck, and then Hoof pumps up our tokens and we run our opponents down. So we have actual 0 interaction in the main deck. We've got a scotch of interaction in the sideboard. Let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. It's a little bit different variation than the build we had played previously, but still pretty linear. Yeah, we played something like this on stream once before. It felt kind of mediocre, but the format's changed since then, so I'm interested to see if this feels any different. Not non-zero chance we just fall on our face again, though. I'm probably supposed to mulligan this, actually. Craterhoof Behemoth in the opener sucks. I don't have a white source on one. I mean, all things considered, that was probably the best draw on our deck, an untapped white source. Morning, Danon. Are we auto-scooping the Hallowed Fountain today? No, I don't think so. I think it's disingenuous to the representation of what Historic is, and does a disservice to my viewers if I skip matchups like that, because matchups like that are explicitly what Wizards wants people to experience, and I think it's important for me to be able to highlight them. Great start to the set. I am an absolute wizard at drawing Kiki Jiki. Let's see if we can win a game where we mulligan to 5, huh? Who's got 2 thumbs and loses to a sweeper? This guy right here. I'm really glad there's the Invitational coming up, and I'm really glad that, like, SCG's doing historic events, and if this Sultai ramp deck is too good, it's going to show that. So excited to see if it puts up results like I think it will. Yeah, the turn Secret Sigurd Terror versus Magic is, well, and this game was kind of close, and then my opponent drew Uro, so we're probably dead. I would assume. I would assume I can no longer win the game. It's important that I play this history pre-combat, so that when we flip this Legion's landing over, I get to keep it here and cast another spell, which is nice. I suppose we could draw heroic reinforcements and be okay here. Bird Rules, thanks for the 4 months. And Zero, thanks for the 1.5 years. We had a couple of resubs before I went live too. I saw them. Inhumane Rabbit had a very generous tier 3. I appreciate that. Hope you're staying safe out there. Pretty sure I'm just supposed to trade a night token for this forest. They drew Heartless Act. Pretty sure I'm supposed to rest in peace the Uro deck. The Trim Satyr's Cunning, so it's my lowest quality one. I'm also bringing in Rest in Peace, which makes the escape text not relevant. I don't think I'm supposed to Scorching Dragonfire against the Uro deck, because you have to, like, catch it at a very specific thing. Do you have thoughts on his playability in Historic? I think you can, I think you can make anything, playable in the Uro colors. I'm gonna keep this because if I draw a single land, it's really good. I don't feel like mulliganing to 5 against the Thoughtseize deck. I saw that, Crazy Duck. Yeah, Lux is one of my favorites. Perfect. I need to find a, so I'm playing in a Runeterra tournament next weekend. I need to find 3 decks that don't overlap regions for it. I have 2 of them picked out, but I'm kind of struggling to find a 3rd deck that I want to play. Hey, Demolisher, thanks for the 9 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Okay, so I think with the land draw here, I actually just shock this in and plan to activate this turn. I'm going to play Twisted Fizz and Violent Gems for 2 of my decks. So I've used Targon, Piltover, Bilgewater, and Freljord. I'll probably just end up playing like Lulu Demacia, but that deck hasn't been as, it's kind of linear. It feels a lot like a Magic deck in a lot of ways, that it just runs people down. I was looking for another Feel Smart deck, but that's probably the deck I end up wanting to play. I don't think I'm supposed to just Transmogrify here. I'm pretty sure we just, like, stay on the attack you plan, and then plan to activate it on 2. Merfolk aggro with Uro. I don't know that Uro is good enough to save Merfolk. Yeah, we're actually gonna try one of those today, dude. Light. With the 5 and 6 drops. Like the Challenger and the, actually they're both Challengers, right? There's the 5-drop Challenger, and then there's also the Scout Challenger on 6th. Aman! Hey ma'am, thanks for the brand new Prime Support, I appreciate that. Welcome to Hooglandia. I'm watching YouTube vids recently. I figured I should stop by and drop my Prime. I appreciate that. Your Prime support and folks like you are the reason why this is able to be my job. So thanks for dropping that off. Glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. Welcome to a live one. No, I don't think that deck was actually very good, Dr. Mr. Punny. I might also, like, there's some, Fiora's a really sweet card. I might work on some Fiora builds, I think. I think I just have to YOLO here and hope they don't have a spot removal at this point. Like, it's pretty likely that they do. Actually, here's something crazy. Do I just Transmogrify? If I've put them on a piece of spot removal this whole time, do I Transmogrify their Uro? Like, it probably turns into another Uro or a Hydroid Crisis, right? And their graveyard's empty. A lot of these decks only play Uro and Croesus as creatures. Knowing our luck, they're about to flip an Ulamog here, but I think this is the big brain play. Is like Transmogrify their Uro. I think it's the right play. Yeah. Because like even though they gain 3 life and drew another card, like they don't have any stuff in their bin, right? So like maybe we could just like kill them with a Danto and what we have in play already. See, chat? They had the spot removal. We played around it. Yeah, player agency. We are in match 1, game 2. Might get a 3rd game. Hashtag sometimes lucky. Alright, Uro, rest in pieces. Their spot removal is not great against us. Okay, so they're on Stone Cold Nothing, and I've got Lethal plus an Odonto, so even if they peel a Sweeper here, I still have them in 2. I mean, Ugin doesn't even strictly save them, right? Like, Ugin can sweep, but then, like, this could maybe steal the game still. Yeah, this is a new, this is an Arena exclusive artwork, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Transmogrify trick is probably risky game 3. Why? Yeah, Elder Gargoth has seen a bunch of play, actually. So with the banning of Teferi, powerful cards that don't have enter the battlefield effects are a lot more playable. Yes, very likely Witch's Vengeance. Hey, this hand's great. 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct, Arena exclusive. Sick. Dispersed me, the big 2-0. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. One of the things that's really sweet about Gideon Blackblade in these matchups is that Gideon Blackblade is an indestructible target for our Transmogrifies and our Lukka downticks. This is a tool that they can't Doomblade in response. They can, however, Maelstrom Pulse it on their turn. This is where the magic happens. Thoughts on Doom Whisperer post-stuff ban? Still not playable. Yeah, opponent is stumbling. Now, the scary part about them stumbling here is that... The scary part about them stumbling here is that their hand is all spells, right? Lukka Plus can help us here. Are you aware of what Lukka's Plus does? Lukka's Plus literally does not have text in our deck. Actually just +1, exile the top 3 cards to your deck. Lukka's +1 lets you cast Craterhoof Behemoth in case you ever draw triple green mana. Yep, accurate. Squirrel Squad, thank you for the entire year support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, cast Heartless Act on this goblin. Eliminate. Combat Muffin, speaking of 12 months. New apartment. Hope your move goes smoothly. Christy has finally been going through boxes she's had in our garage since we moved in here. And we've lived in this house for almost 2 years now. Oh, we're super dead. We have the combo in hand, we win. It's technically correct. G-Back Attack, thanks for 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Easy mulligan here with Craterhoof in hand, already at 6. God bless America. God bless the London Mulligan, chat. God bless the London Mulligan. God bless the London Mulligan. We got the same hand twice? No, because the second hand I got to mulligan the Craterhoof out. Very, very different, obviously. Is Black-Green Nissa from Zendikar Rising as good as it looks? God! Ah! You know what? They drew Wrath of God. I should have just played Raise the Alarm. Nothing in my deck draws cards, right? So I'm leaving this on 1.
You cannot see your folly.
Yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have played this out. I was only attacking her for 2 anyways. Yeah, that's the intention of it, Zephyr. My expectation for the double-faced modal cards is that, similar to companions, many people in the community will have an outcry about them. They'll see a lot of play and they'll subsequently get nerfed or banned to the point where they're not playable. That might be a bit of a jaded outlook, though. And I agree. I agree it's a great direction to take the game. But I assume, like any major change to Magic the Gathering, it will meet heavy feedback from people who had to walk uphill in the snow both ways to their first Magic tournament.
We need to move quickly.
Listen, chat. They've suffered and stumbled and died for decades. You should too. How do the new lands work? You choose, when you play them, you choose what you want them to do.
Do you want me to phase you out of time? Let's skip to the good part.
Yeah, you play them as a land or a spell. Elvish Rage. And when they're in your hand, I'm pretty sure they're a spell, which means they can get thought seized. Are you dead? Sometimes lucky. Sometimes lucky. So you're telling me I can finally duress my opponent's lands from their hand. That is exactly what I am telling you. Pretty sure the control matchup's a Pact of Negation matchup. I'm gonna cut these satyrs, Cunning. Hello, family. Hello, babyest girl. Hi. Are you having a good morning? You're having a good morning before I came to work? Oh, who's bobbly? We're so big, we hold our head up. Who's huge? Chat wants to see you big. Oh, that's the wrong button. There's the big Haley button.
I can't pick you up. You're too heavy. Well, Daddy's stronger than me.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah. I don't think I want Rest in Peace for this matchup. I know they have Uro, and I brought it in last time, but I think it's just Gideon and Pact of Negation here. She does have my hairline currently. Don't worry, baby girl, you'll grow out of it. Who's adorable? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah.
So sweet.
You're a smiley girl. Yes, you are. I love you, baby girl. Hey, I got Pact of Negation. Keep.
Deck leg. Joe, this open or closed bed?
Open, please. Poor child, see 3 terrible bands already. Thanks, Sky. I appreciate it. Hey, it's excellent draw. For anybody that's wondering how we pay for this card in terms of mana, we don't. You play this card the turn you're killing your opponent with your combo. This is an I win button.
Unstrained by the monks, even titans obey my commands.
The double face cards. I have no idea. Like, for people that are new to the channel, I'm not really going to give strong opinions, especially on, like, what specific decks these cards fit into until we just see more of them. Context is key in games like Magic, and you need context to be able to understand what's going on. And we actually don't have any ways to kill Grafdigger's Cage in our deck, do we? Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I don't know that Red Castle is better than White Castle. I agree with that. Yeah, actual 0 ways to kill. It's just good deck building. $15 red's probably plenty. How many lanes are we on? 24? Yeah, I could probably play 3 castles. Yeah, some amount of Abrade seems fine. That's probably a bit just better than Shredded Sails. There's the Red Adventure card. Putting creatures in my Transmogrify deck is not a good idea. I think I'm in for more Pact of Negation. I think I want to play a couple copies of... this card, because it cycles. So the 30 months, Mr. Tasty, I appreciate it. Welcome back. Is Magma Spray legal? Yeah. But again, like, using a Magma Spray to kill an Uro that already, like, drew a bunch of cards isn't really a winning play. You're still losing that most of the time. Runeterra deck we're playing later today is super reasonable. It doesn't have bad cards like Dragon's Rage in it, no. Goat Napped, thanks for the 7 months. Welcome back. Slayer, thanks for the 25. Beep, beep. There's almost no profitable way to interact with Uro. Correct. That's big part of why the card's a huge problem. Agonizing Remorse and counterspells. Counterspells that specifically exile. Yay! Magic's fun! We did it! We did it! Alright, Rest in Peace turns off Blood Artist, so let's board that in. Fling to Dust is a good way. Not really. It already drew a card and gained 3 life. You're spending a card to answer your opponent's cantrip is not good. Spending a card to answer your opponent's card that cantripped and drew a card is not good. Are we playing 61 cards? I think I just submitted 61. People that give answers like that don't understand why Uro is good. They're not good at evaluating Magic cards. Even Scavenging Ooze isn't really good. Like, sure, it stops it from, like, and that's again why it's so great. Like, sure, it stops it from winning the game on its own, but they still got value out of their card. Yes, at worst, Uro is a 1 for 0. It's funny because in a way, Thoughtseize being printed into Historic was actually a power level upgrade for Uro, because before Thoughtseize existed, all the black decks that wanted to play discard spells played for Agonizing Remorse for the most part, which is much better than Thoughtseize against Uro. Got me. Rip. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, Syncopate's an okay card against Uro, except when you don't have it on turn 3, and then their ramp deck ramps up. Yeah, I was kind of surprised they took reinforcements. I guess they got beat up by reinforcements last game, so they were just a little bit hurt by it, I think. Throw one of these away to flip the Legion's Landing. Hey, Cheetos, thanks for the half year. I appreciate it. Hope you're staying safe out there. Alright, just waiting on a combo thing. Really surprised they didn't float mana there. Probably next turn start attacking. Yeah, I'll wait one more turn. This is notably a position where Castle Ardenvale would be good. That's true. Castle Ardenvale would be very good on this board. That being said, I think this game's probably also an example of why we don't need Castle Ardenvale, because we're going to win this game without it, right? Yeah, notably, this is a dies trigger, and while Rest in Peace is in play, nothing dies. I'm going to wait one more turn, actually, since I have History of Benalia. I don't expect them to have a sweeper. It says before getting his legions ended. Oh, sweet. We'll just cast Craterhoof Behemoth. That beat lands. When your fragile ego is attached to your ability to win games of Magic Distortion, if you remove people's ability to stumble and die and mulligan and die, they're going to get to play Magic more often, which means you're going to win at Magic less often. Which is scary. Change in general, also scary. In a Field of the Dead World, Forsake, Virulent Plague was something you cared about, but in a not Field of the Dead World, no. I don't think I play around that card. Maybe when they didn't take Rest in Peace earlier, they didn't realize it would deny them death triggers. If they're a newer player, that's something they might not be familiar with. We're on the scoreboard at least, chat. We did it. Our opponent didn't interact with us, and we successfully lineared them out of the game. To come back to Thoughtseize, Agonize, Remorse Combat, if we submit a deck with this card, no. Thoughtseize is the right card to be playing. It's just also true that because Thoughtseize is the right card to be playing, that Uro gets incidentally better. I don't think you play a worse card because Uro exists, but it's also correct to acknowledge the fact that, like, that change made Uro better. I think there's a number of decks. I think Agonizing Remorse is the 5th discard spell that you play, and there's some decks that want to play 5 to 8 discard spells. Was it first 7 a mulligan because of Behemoth? Yes. Magic has enough variance that people get to believe their wins are earned while their losses are unlucky, so I can get why people who don't think critically often get concerned when variance gets taken away. Yeah, I think that's a very, very accurate assessment. How do you think the spell land cards Zendikar will impact deck building? Depends on how good they are. Super, super contextual. The instant speed protection spell one looks like the most playable of the ones we've had spoiled so far. But how good the rest of them will be will largely depend on what the context is. Context is key, chat. Context is key. Yeah, a lot of the discourse around the London Mulligan in general definitely soured me big on a lot of parts of the Magic community. Like, it's super, super frustrating that players think that the London Mulligan's a problem because it gives decks more consistency, rather than understanding that, like, well, if those decks being consistent is a problem, maybe those decks just shouldn't exist. I'm pretty largely of the opinion that if something's a problem occasionally, it should always be a problem. Like, it shouldn't matter if that thing happens less frequently. What is the best way to put together a Runeterra deck to climb the ladder, and how many American dollars does it cost to build a deck that's competitive? The average Runeterra deck costs between $20 and $30 to build. I think Misfortune Scouts is probably one of the better decks. It's the deck I built for my wife to ladder with last season. That's still very good, even with the new cards that have been added. Yeah, I agree, Niv. I'm definitely of that opinion. I think any problems the London Mulligan creates have always been there and are just highlighting problems that have always existed. So this can't block, so if I attack with everything, I die on the backswing, so I need to just pass here. We're just, like, hoping to peel Transmogrify before they can kill us here. Yeah, I agree, Jorg. Big agree. So I'm someone who's always been a big proponent of, like, well, you should just ban things like Neoshiel Brand or Belcher or stuff like that. Just, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how infrequently they happen. The fact that they happen at all is unacceptable. Kelsey, thanks for the half year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. My wife knows how to play Magic. Magic's just so expensive that, like, she didn't like it enough to justify spending that amount of money on it. Whereas, like, Runeterra is way easier to get into, and she can play it on her iPad. I think the spell lands will affect deck building. There's a spoilers command in chat. It's applicable to all the spoilers. Anybody that wants my opinion on spoilers, you can type !! spoilers in chat. I don't know if I want removal in this matchup. I think I'm going to play. I'm just going to stay linear. Jack Fury, thanks for the 5 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Jeff cooks his spoiler takes in the oven, not the microwave. That is a good phraseology. Man, I really hope we get Delver's Secrets in this set. That would be great. I would love to play with that card again. I don't think we can afford to play more than 7 lands that don't have a basic land type, we'll see. We're playing 4 Clifftop Retreats and 3 White Castles. You all still see me, right? You all still see me? Okay, good. Enjoy Zap Sprayfin for a minute. Let's try and reconnect here. Yeah, I haven't dropped any frames. Yeah, Newland Ball looks great for Collecting Company decks. The new 3 mana not Banisher Priest is great too. Also, and this is something that is different but good to understand for newer players. It's actually easier to predict which cards could be good in non-rotating formats early than it is to predict which cards are going to be good in standard, because fewer cards in the new set will be powerful enough to break into non-rotating formats, and they'll largely slot into decks that already exist and are established. Whereas in standard, like, we're missing a very large percentage of the cards, right? Like, in standard, we're losing 4 sets, so, like, we're missing 15 to 20% of the cards. Think I'm waiting one more turn, hoping to peel a Transmogrifier Heroic Intervention, or Heroic Reinforcements. Just don't really have good attacks here. You know what? I probably should have attacked with a 1/1 there, so I could Legion's Landing. It's fine. We'll do it next turn. So, apparently, this was not Twitch's intention. But for the September promotion, if you're a paid sub, if you cancel your current sub and go in to renew it, you should be able to get the discounted promotion rate for the various extra months. Is what I've been told.
I was trained to fight monsters, not foes. We can all become stronger.
Wait, did they just, friendo? Alright, sure. You know what, we take those here. We take those here. So, we're on the scoreboard because our opponent didn't know how our deck works. Such a good example of why a deck's record isn't always indicative of its performance. Yeah. Sometimes your deck's really bad, but it doesn't matter because your opponent, just didn't understand. Yeah, correct, Dr. Mister. So if you're one of my regulars and you're subbing to support me and you cancel the sub and re-up it with the September discount, the discount money comes out of the money Twitch gets, so I get my same 70% of what you spend regardless of if you have a discount or not. So feel free to cancel and reset up your sub with the September discount as you will. They could have Murderous Ridered the thing I was targeting with my Planeswalker. Because if you kill the thing I'm targeting, I don't get my Craterhoof Behemoth. This actually isn't lethal, is it? They're at 29? Yeah, you might also have to wait for your sub to expire after you cancel it. Which is why it's such an awkward loophole. Is 70% the rate for streamers of 25 subs or 25,000? Well, I definitely don't have 25,000 subscribers, German Space Ace. Interesting. Yeah, you should definitely also, you should never sub from mobile through the app because it costs you more money. You pay $6 per month to sub through the app, and that's because one of those dollars goes to Google. So def sub on PC. Eldune says, I was able to cancel and re-up for $4 right away. Good to know. Yeah, any purchases that go through a mobile app, the App Store needs to take a cut of. Papa Google's got to eat, chat. No, Umbert, I mean Google. So all money that goes through applications that are on the Google Play Store, Google takes a cut of. Ooh, that's a good one. I sub through the app because I make $2 a month through Google Play Rewards. It's a reasonable reason to do it. Correct. That is why Fortnite got kicked out of the App Store. I have very little sympathy for people breaking contracts they've agreed to and then getting punished for having broken said contracts. So Epic can and should get pushed out of the game stores they got pushed out of because they broke a contract that they agreed to. Fortnite tried to bypass giving Apple and Google their cut of purchases on their platforms. So both of those platforms subsequently removed those things from the Play Store. For a $50 donation, you can cut a deck into the next deck to be played today. You see what I mean? And yeah, the Big Red would be a fine one to run back. So we're hoping to dodge Thought Seize and spot removal here so we can end step, raise the alarm, untap Lukka. And remember, it's much less than $50 to get your deck played tomorrow. For example, it looks like to be the first deck tomorrow morning. It would be a $39 donation based on the points in the queue. There's no good guys. Yeah, but there's people who are, like, less wrong than others, Bob. Like, when there's not a good person to root for, there's people who are more wrong and less wrong. And I think the app stores are definitely on the less wrong side of that dispute. And not every story has a hero. I just want to make the record clear, based on the somewhat sarcastic comment I just timed out in my chat, is that both sidesism has a zero tolerance here in my chat. If you think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are bad people, I'd encourage you to check out their policies and check out their voting records. They ain't perfect, but calling them actively bad is a GOP talking point that won't be tolerated here. It's one of those very sneaky things, right? Like, it sounds big brain centrist to be like, the lesser of two evils, all sides suck. But guess what? When you say everyone's a criminal, you know who benefits the most from everyone thinking everyone's a criminal? Actual criminals benefit the most. Why do you need to compare ethics issues between companies, Mobile? I'd encourage you to not tie your enjoyment of games to the ethics of companies, because all of these companies are largely unethical. I also find it peak internet/Twitch chatty that anybody can condemn the behavior of different video game companies while sitting here watching me stream on Twitch, which is an Amazon subsidiary. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and assuming some type of moral high ground while you engage with the system is nonsense. You're obligated to engage with the system, chat. You have to exist in society. It is not hypocritical to say we should improve the system that we live in while still engaging in that system. You have to exist. That's just reality. You can exist and acknowledge that the way in which you're existing is not ideal and should be improved. It's not hypocritical, or it doesn't make you a bad person to do that. Alright, let's draw some lands here, huh? 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Bamf, thanks for the tip. I appreciate that. Thanks for the help yesterday. I'm very proud you don't shy away from mixing gaming with politics. Thank you, I appreciate it. Alright, let's see if this, Dr. PZ can run into this, raise the alarm. Jeff is making me exist. Opponent playing well here, playing around our pretty obvious raise the alarm. One of these is a free attack, right? I'm going to leave the other one back, because I would like to trade that one for Young Pyromancer if possible here. How do I feel about this? I think I like YOLOing this. I think I'm shipping. They get to make a 5/5 next turn with Luris, but that's also okay. I assume they have a piece of spot removal here. This opponent understands how our deck works, unfortunately. So again, this is one of the reasons why I think our archetype's not particularly good. If our opponent plays well and just holds up spot removal, we basically can't win. Arena seems to be having some disconnect issues today. Yeah, we definitely experienced that. I don't know if this attack is good, but... I think I go to 1 here? Pretty in for putting them to 1. Okay, so they can play one of these out. Luris does have lifelink, so they're at a virtual 6 at the moment. This is for Big Red. Easy Yummy, thank you for the very generous tip. Anybody want to do me a flavor and dig back into my Stream Decker and find us the Big Red deck list we ended up on? In case I don't have it in my arena decks currently. Stream Decker link should be there. Yep. Thank you, chat fam. I appreciate you. Alright, well, I mean, we're just like holding the door, right? Just like waiting for another reinforcements or a combo kill. August 25th. Sounds right. Oh, the Stream Decker site is so slow. Spinning. Spinning. Do 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 do. Why is it so slow? So I have no idea. I assume it's a resource thing. The person that runs it as a, it's just a fan-made project. It's not some type of big thing. Can someone theoretically cut 51 to donate the original, put the original deck back in line? No, it's double. Has to be 100. And at that point, if someone does a $100 donation to put the other deck back in line, I just end up doing both of them today. Streaking in the right ways. Thanks for the 17 months, Kidder. Okay, I don't let people nickel and dime each other by $1 because that's tedious to track and it's a bad experience for the viewers at home. But if people want to double up, I'm not gonna not take your money. All right, can you beat Rest in Peace? My money's on no. I'm actually excited to see if the big red deck can make itself look playable again. If the big red deck has a decent run again today, I will probably throw it up on the website because it felt pretty reasonable last time we played it. There's just a lot of good cards in it. Played it a few times recently, and it generally has a good showing. Sweet. I have a question about learning mathematics. I have a master's degree in philosophy, and I want to know more math. Do you have any advice and introductory books on mathematics, materials, or otherwise? Not really at this point. It's been a while since I've done book learning. I've been a full-time meme here on stream for, gosh, 2.5 years now, and even before that, I wasn't really doing introductory stuff. Yeah, there's two that I'm aware of, K-Smith. There's one with Lulu that's an issue, and then there's an 8-mana card with Spell Shield that's an issue. The 8-mana bug isn't really a big deal, though, because that card's not super playable. But ideally they should patch them. I'd expect them to have something this week or next week. I don't expect us to be waiting. How long has Phyrexian Tower been bugged for now? Going on 6 weeks for them to fix their stuff? What's the issue with Lux, dude? Light? Like, I'm a pretty reasonable person overall. I don't expect software to be I don't expect software to be perfect. I know it's a complicated thing. I just expect for when it's not perfect that it doesn't rot for literal months. Or in the case of Wall of Roots, January 20th, 2016. Gonna go pour one out for my boy Wall Roots. Was there a time when Wall of Roots wasn't bugged? Yes. Wall of Roots was bugged when they added colorless mana to the game with the Eldrazi set. The last time we were in Zendikar, actually, right? The last time we were in Zendikar was the Eldrazi set? So yeah, Wall of Roots worked appropriately for a while. The issue, the Phyrexian Tower bug is that it doesn't give you priority if you don't have a spell to cast. Yeah, like Thought Not Colorless, Niv. No, Wall of Roots doesn't make colorless mana. They just had to reprogram the core of the mana system in Magic Online to support colorless mana. Because they effectively made colorless a color, so they had to reprioritize how the mana system prioritized taking colorless mana out of the pool, and it impacted everything that made mana. Yeah, the tower bug, again, is an example of, I understand why they missed it. I understand that it wasn't perfect on release, but Jumpstart's now been out for almost 2 months, and it's still not fixed. So again, the problem isn't that bugs happened. The problem is that a bug has happened in a commonly played card in a tier 1 deck, and it hasn't been addressed almost 2 months later. Just like with card balance, right? I don't expect perfection with designing formats and balancing cards, but I do expect when they get it wrong that they're like, oh, we got it wrong, we should fix this. I'm a very reasonable human being. I understand how this works. I understand how much goes into these things. Something else that's good to point out too, because a lot of people don't get this from a point of understanding, you also shouldn't blame the individual developers who are writing the code and doing the bug fixes for the reason why these bugs exist. Speaking as someone who's worked at a Fortune 50 company doing bug fixing and stuff like that, the issues that happen like this that don't get resolved squarely fall on the shoulders of the people managing these teams, or the people above them even who don't allot enough resources for them to get the things done that need to get done. Don't blame the peons in the capitalist system. Blame the people at the top. They're the ones responsible. The buck stops with them. As a developer, I am terrified by watching its development cycle. Yeah, me too. In fact, actually, just like random things, we've been talking a lot about cultures and stuff like that and differences. Something that Riot actually did recently, which was awesome, was Riot gave their entire company just a week off They were like, people have been pushed and feeling it since we moved to work from home with pandemic, and they literally just gave all of their teams that they could just an extra week off and pushed their dev cycle out a week to give their people time to breathe. Which is like, that's great. It's great to see. But I consider working for Wizards. Wizards can't afford me. The amount that Wizards of the Coast pays people to work for them to live in the Seattle area is not money I'm willing to work for.
In battle, one must be willing to adapt.
I could very likely find a similar job doing similar things at a similar wage whilst living in the cornfields where my cost of living is very minimal. I'd prefer to kill your 3/4, thanks. Did you hoof math wrong? I thought the answer is it's always lethal. Apologies.
Poor tactics.
They have Heartless Act here. Heartless Act on my Craterhoof Behemoth. We might lose this game. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. It's gonna be a tough one to crack. Exactly why my partner and I are moving to Canmore, way cheaper than Toronto, and we can do the exact same work. Yep. One thing I expect to see as a result of the COVID times in which we are living is I expect all of the companies that are smart to seriously reassess how many people they actually need working in office in various places, as opposed to how many people they can continue having work from home even once it's safe to have them back in the office, so they can cut down at office space.
My vengeance will continue another day.
Suburbs around New York City have seen an increase in home sales of 112% from last year. Yep. This is true. My wife's company is looking into keeping as many people work from as possible. Yeah, I mean, like, office space isn't free. And, like, if you maintain anywhere near your same efficiency, like, there's really not a big reason to keep having people come in. So I think I want Gideon and Pact of Negation here against the control deck. Definitely looking to just cheese them. Although maybe this isn't a packed matchup. My opponent's deck is probably less likely to have spot removal than some others. I'm only going to bring in 2 packs here. Dell just gave every one of us $400 to put towards the home office. That's great. So speaking of work and offices, my hours have been a little bit higher than what I'm planning to continue doing. So when I moved to my 7 days per week schedule, I mentioned that I was planning to only do 4 to 5 hours a day, but I have been doing 6 to 7 hours a day still. So next Tuesday, 6 days from now, Christy goes back to work. So when she goes back to work, I intend to scale back to that 4 to 5 hours per day. as I had initially intended. I was conceding there because I forgot to board in my anti-artifact cards anyways, and I'm boarding out these Pact of Negation, so I might as well show them the Pact of Negation so they think about playing around it. Yeah, Solera, essential workers like grocery store workers have definitely gotten the short end of the stick through all of this. We needed a $15 per hour minimum wage as a base level before all of this, and it's still something that we need to improve on. Higher minimum wage, better benefits for everyone, more robust generic social safety nets. All of that still needs to happen. How will that affect prices? So here's the thing you need to understand about increasing wages that right-wing FUD doesn't get to. Raising minimum wage does increase costs, but it does not increase costs proportionally to the amount that you're increasing people's wages by. So to say it doesn't do anything is incorrect, but to say it balances things out also isn't true. It's like whenever people talk about like universal basic income and they're like, oh, well, all the landlords will just increase the money by X. It's like that's not how it works. That's not reality. That's just FUD to scare people away from wanting to be for things that could help them. I think I'm cycling this to try and hit my land drops here. Yes, costs are not elastic. They do not go up one-to-one with wage increases. Shatter in the sky. Do 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 do. Yeah, and that's also the other thing. Another piece of right-wing FUD when you talk about raising minimum wage is that, like, well, paramedics only make $15 an hour. Why do people that flip burgers deserve to make the same amount that paramedics make? It's like, well, the easy answer to this is that the people who are paramedics are also incredibly underpaid for the work that they do. The greatest con the GOP ever pulled on normal people was convincing people that make $20 an hour that their problem is people who make $7 an hour, not people that make $700 per hour. The reason why you're stuck making 20 bucks an hour is not the person struggling to survive on $7.50 an hour. All things considered, this deck did about what I was expecting it to do. I think this is just an incredibly low player agency, low decision-making deck. It's generally not very good. It folds to a piece of spot removal. This deck's doing something very similar to what Goblins is doing with Muxus, only Goblins has staying power to play through removal spells because Muxus generates card advantage and Ringleader generates card advantage is a big deal. So I think this archetype is generally speaking not worth playing, and if you want to do something similar to this, you should just be playing Muxus Goblins. All right, at any rate, I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while I get things set up and flipped over. When I get back in a couple of minutes, we are going to play some Big Red Control. So be back in just a few. Thanks for hanging out today. Don't go anywhere.